Hello, everybody, and welcome to round 4. We're past the halfway point of the season in the oNiD Sim HoundLMU 100 series, powered by Coach Dave Academy. And as you can see today, we're here at a slightly muggy Sebring Raceway here in Florida. Here we are, round 4 of the championship, 20 degrees air and track temperatures, with still a lot to fight for in the championship. Even though Alfie Bevans missed the last round, he's still joint top with Jonathan Seville with the top rounds, so it's all still to play for. As you can see now, Alfie and Jonathan on drop rounds are still on both on 42 points, with Atal Baskar and now Daniel Willems after his first podium on Sim Racing GP in third position in the championship. And also we've got followed by Petr Jelinek and Elvin Blomqvist, both joint in fifth position. And well, they go, as you can see down, there's a lot of joint points at the moment as drop rounds are still coming into effect. As we can see, I think we saw a car go through in the background with some our qualifying session about to begin. Here we are. It's one of the AF Corsa cars going through. I don't think it's on a flying lap. No, there you go. It's already been on one. It's Alfie Bevan. Well, he's joined us back how he left off last time. A 1 minute 49.118 to go top of the times. In this session, we're still early ways into it. 15-minute session. And we're about to come up to the 12 minutes to go marker. Zach Finney not too far off. He's about 0.396 behind. And we've got Law as well joining us for this round, who is just under half a second behind as well. Alex Shahabi also 1.2 seconds back. There we are. There is Ben Law running in a custom Ferrari livery as we follow him. And yeah, the timing screen forever changing as Petr Jelinek just pops up into fifth. But before I get too into this, I'll just introduce my co-commentator as always, oNiD community media manager, Scotty. How are you doing, Scotty?
I'm doing very well today. Looking forward to Sebring. Was a eventful race last season. Hoping it will be a little cleaner this season. And we'll see some more great racing action following Ben Law here, who has gone purple in the first sector as we join in. Of course, Sebring, one of the unique tracks in this game where the pit lane doesn't align with the start-finish line, meaning that once you leave the pit, one corner later, you are starting your first flying lap. That means these drivers are all now completing their second flying laps, being just over 4 minutes into the session. Of course, they will be getting their tyres up to temperature. They will be improving as we see. Alfie Bevan has raised the benchmark, 146.5. We watch Ben Law over the bumps through Sunset, out now towards the start-finish line, and it'll be a 148.5, losing a little bit of time there in the final sector. Let's see who else is close to completing a time. Petr Jelinek coming up to the final corners in the 2023 Le Mans Special livery from the Penske Porsche squad. The final corner now. This, I believe, will be their first flying lap, not unless they've just left the pit lane, which I think was the case. Someone who is on a flying lap, though, is Dmitry Yaroshenko in another Ferrari. A lot of Ferraris round today. I didn't think we had so many Ferraris in this championship, but round the final corner for one of our 5 yellow Ferraris we have in the field, comes across the line, will be at 148.755. That is very similar to the time we saw not too long ago. But yeah, they will carry on for another lap.
Yeah, and Dmitry Yaroshenko coming off at a good round last time out at Monza, took the win in the amateur class, so he's trying to leave off, well, start where they left off last time. Tom Watson comes out of the final corner, currently runs down in 19th position, running in the amateur class, goes up to 12th, so just lots ahead of Tyler Hammer in the Toyota there. And now we have Alfie Bevan coming, well, he's purple sector 1, purple sector 2. He's up by 2 tenths in the first sector, up by 1 tenth in the middle sector. And now we'll come around the final corner, comes up towards the start finish line and crosses the line for further improvement, I believe. Drops it into the 1 minute 45 with a 0.989 there as Zach Finney, green in the first, but green, orange in the second, but still is able to stay in second position there with a 1 minute 47 as he comes across the line. As Martin Thorpe crosses the line as well and slots into fourth position.
looking at those times, you'd think Alfie Bevan was the only person who said time on hot tyres. Such is the gap back to second and third, 1.3, then 2 seconds. Massive gap at the front, but all top 5 positions being held by Ferraris at the moment. They seem pretty strong. Let's see a little further back to another Ferrari in the top 10 for Yaroshenko. We'll be hoping to join their other Ferraris a little further up, improving in the first sector. Lost some time in the middle sector, though. Can they improve with the time? No, will not improve in the final sector. Let's try and find someone else. Charlie Morgan, representing Porsche, running the Joda livery, will improve their time. 49.0, puts themselves into 13th overall.
So I'm trying to look up and down the timing screen as Simon Harris comes across the line in 21st. I think as the AM class goes of things, I think it's Knowles currently leading the way in that class, down in 7th position, ahead of Nick Manders, who's in 8th. I think Ben Law is not an AMS runner, but I take that back. So I can tell you the top 2 for now in the AMS class is Knowles, followed by Manders, and then it'll be 10th position, Yaroshenko running in 3rd in the amateur standings. Alex Habby is going to come up to the line now, though. Green first sector, orange middle sector, and it's good enough to go up to 2nd position, and he's only 2 tenths back from Zach Finney. It's no point in saying how far back he is from Alfie Bevan, because Alfie really is in an absolute league of his own at the moment. Currently, the actual hypercar lap record around here in real life is a 1 minute 47.885 held by Sebastian Buemi. We're currently about 2 seconds under that as Nick Manders comes across the line, goes up into 2nd position, 6th position, and 2nd in class, I beg my own pardon, as Knowles is up into 5th still. Lovely livery here. Rothmans by Daniel Johansson here in 15th position. Will come up towards the start-finish line now, crosses the line in the Rothmans liveried car, and it's good enough to jump up to 14th. Slots himself between Morgan and Jacob behind. Dmitry Yaroshenko, green in the 1st and 2nd sector, comes across the line now, up to 4th, and that's pole position in the amateur standings. That's a great time there, set by Dmitry Yaroshenko to put it on pole in the amateur class. Charlie Morgan now comes up towards the start-finish line. Adam Dorner as well coming up towards the start-finish line in 20th position, stays in 20th position for now. Still has time to go around with 5 minutes and 50 seconds now to go in this session. As he goes through on another flying lap right up to the edge of the circuit there. Jacob Hine as well was down by 1.3 seconds in the 1st sector. Is green though in the 2nd sector in the Seoul Alpine. So as we come up towards the final couple of corners in this lap, he'll go around turn 16 now, and we'll come up towards the back straight here, the almost straight, as he'll come up towards turn 17 into Sunset Bend. He'll jump onto the brakes, well, in just a second as he comes across the 200 meters board there. We'll be briefly on the brakes, turns the car in to get tight to the concrete wall as he goes under the WeatherTech bridge, comes up towards the outside tyre wall, and will come across the start-finish line. Where will Jacob Hine go? Stays in 14th position for now, so we'll have to see if there's an improvement over the next lap. Elvin Blomqvist currently in 9th. Alfie Bevan leaving the pit lane, I think. Yeah, just coming out of pit road to start another flying lap, I think, for Alfie, but still sits on pole position in that car. Adam Dorner, currently orange in the 1st and 2nd sector, and was he going in the pit lane? He is coming straight into the pit lane in the 50 car. Zach Finney now is green in the 1st sector, yellow again in the 2nd sector, 1.3 seconds back, and was 3 tenths down from Bevans in the 1st sector, and just under 3 tenths down in the 2nd sector as well. So I don't think it'll be a good enough time for pole position unless it's a mighty mega final sector. And gets all wriggly coming out of Sunset there, but we'll come across the start finish line. I think it is an improvement. It's only 1.1 seconds back with that 1 minute 47.125, but still over a second is the margin to Alfie in this session so far. Alex Shabby, orange. Will it be a green for the final sector? No, stay at 1 minute 49, so that isn't an improvement. So Alex, with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this session, still needs to find time to improve. Interestingly though, track temperature up to 21.3 degrees now, And yeah, at least it's very close in our midfield at the moment.
Yes, indeed. Let's go Jacob Hine, one of the few drivers on a good lap. 2 personal best sectors coming into Sunset over the curbs. Again, the car turned in quite nicely. Very tight to the inside wall. We've been very close to touching it, very close to the tire wall on the outside exit as well. Straight lines to the start finish line. It'll be a 48.1. Gets themselves into the top 10 for now, but it is very closely contested. Just there's 3 cars there within a tenth of a second. And Jacob aborting from their next lap. Wonder if they'll come out for another attempt. Let's see if we can find anyone else improving. Zach Finney losing a bit of time in the first sector, improving in the middle sector. They're going to find a lot of time to jump up and take pole position from Alfie Bevan, but can they put themselves a little further clear of Alex Shahabi to solidify their front row starting position? Just one more corner to go before they get the lap time into Sunset now, carrying a bit more speed, running slightly wider than Jacob, but not as tight to the tire wall on the exit. Runs up to line, will be improvement, will be 146.9, gets within a second of Alfie. Still a long way to go if they want to get pole, and that will be it for their session. They will have time to go out and start another lap, but the tires will be too cold for them to improve. Let's have a little look at Alfie Bevan. They're going on for another lap. Let's see if we can find someone else who might be improving. Elvin Blomqvist heading through the middle sector.
Yeah, here comes Elvin now. It's green in the first sector and is just coming up to the S's corners now. Comes through Bishop and now will head towards turn 15. And he's green in that sector as well. He was 7 tenths off Bevans in the first sector and about just under 4 tenths off in the middle. So not as close as Zach Finney has been, but still pretty respectful sector times as he now comes down the back straight towards turn 17. He'll, well, jump onto the brakes any point now. Now, there you go. You can see the brake lights quickly flare up. A little bit of a lock up there as he turns the car into the corner past the VP oil signs. Will come up towards the start-finish line. Where will this put Elvin Blomqvist? The Fridays have been strong today. Is his going to be strong? Yes, it is. Up to 4th position. Just beats the Yaroshenko car to put him onto the second row of the grid. I think that's by just under 20 thousandths of a second as we come to Runa Bertolson. It's green as well, runs in 17th, but it's been a strong AMS runner this season. We had a good run last time out at Monza, with him now just coming towards the back straight. So he's green in sector 1, but just under a second off of the fastest time set by Bevan, but he's had a really strong sector 2 and is only just over 3 tenths back from what Bevan set in that sector. So this could be a time, but that's not going to help. Runs very wide. Is maybe trying to go for a later apex to get that tyre entry onto the start-finish straight. What will this be for Runa Tolson? Sits in 17th, goes up to 12th position in the end, and is just sliding ahead of Law. Ollie Knowles is doing some cross-country stuff. He's cutting the grass for the venue here, has rejoined the circuit, but I doubt there'll be an improvement there as he's done a lot of lawn cutting. We can see Daniel Williams sells for 6th, the best of the non-Ferrari runners. The Ferrari is really strong today, making up the top 5. Alfie is only marginally down in the first sector and only marginally down again in this second sector. So I mean, if he gets a really strong final sector here as he comes through turn 15, through 16 now, turns the car in, gets back onto the power, runs across the kind of rumble strip curbing there on the outside of the start-finish straight. You can see the pit lane on the right-hand side there. So we'll have to see what Alfie can do. He's only got 1 corner to go, but it's such an easy corner to mess up. It's so bumpy. You can see the car shaking up and down. Really, if it was real life, it would have probably snapped his spine, but never mind. He's coming around the final corner now, and he will come across the start-finish line, Alfie, and it is not an improvement in the end. It's a 1 minute 46.007, so it hasn't been able to improve right at the end of the session. Alex Shahabi, though, a green first sector, is only just under 6 tenths off of what Alfie's done, and is only 3 tenths back from him in the middle sector, but it was slower than what Alex has managed through there the last couple of laps. A very accomplished driver with us on it, has won the Showdown Series multiple times. and has been really loyal to us here in the community. He will come around the final corner now. Will Alex Shabi? He's going to get really close to the outside wall. You can just see how much he's trying to push that guy. He's trying to extract all the time he can, and it was worth it in the end. Goes up to third position there, slots in ahead of Elvin Blanc. Actually, no, I think he was already in third, so I'm going to take all that back. But yeah, nice job there by Alex Shabi, but even better job by Alfie Bevan, who has secured a lovely pole position to put him on 2 pole positions for the season, joint with Jonathan Seville.
Yes, and having run this race last season, or at least I can't remember if Sebring was one that Alfie missed. No, it wasn't. He did make Sebring last season. He does have the experience of the track. He will be able to lean on that for strategy. So can't imagine he will be leaving many opportunities for people to beat him. So yeah, it'll be a real tough challenge, but who knows what the race can throw up. Maybe we'll see something a little bit unexpected. Though in that midfield battle, it is extremely close. There's trying to see from Shahabi, a second goes all the way down to 14th position. That's 11 cars within a second. That midfield fight is going to be very tough, very important to get the strategy right. We'll have to see who is able to do that when we get on to the race. Just waiting for the server to tick over, and while we do wait, let's just have another quick look at the standings again, if they want to load for us. They're playing it's playing funny buggers with us today. There we go. We were mentioning the pro standings, the AM standings, in a similar manner as, of course, with our 2 drop rounds now taking in effect, with after 3 rounds, yes, only the driver's best result currently counts, single best result, hence why we see so many ties. Just gives us a little bit of an idea of where the standings are, but they can change a lot as we continue on this season. But as we've ticked over for the race, let's just have a quick look through what our starting order is.
Yes, so as we go on to row 1, Alfie Bevans, as I mentioned, 2nd pole position of the season, followed by Zach Finney. If we go to row 2, we have Alex Shabi and Elvin Blomqvist rounding out the 2nd row of the grid. On to row 3, and it's our AMS pole, Dmitry Yaroshenko in 5th, followed by the first of the non-Ferraris, Daniel Willems in 6th. Row 4 goes the way of Tyler Hammer with the oNiD car, and in 8th goes the way of Nick Manders in 2nd in the AMS as well. Row 5 is 3rd in the AMS, Ollie Knowles, and 10th position goes the way of Martin Ford, rounding out our top 10. Row 6 is the first of the Alpines of Jacob Hein, and in 12th position is Runa Bertolfsson. Then, as we come to row 7, it is Ben Law, first round of the season. We're also first round of the season for Kevin Durini. As we go to row 8, we've got in 15th position Petr Jelinek, and in 16th we've got Zach Silver. On row 9 we've got Daniel Johansson, and in 18th position we've got Charlie Morgan. If we come to row 10 now, we've got the Glick in with Antron Casanova, and in 20th position we've got Tom Watson. Then on row 11 we've got Adam Dorner, and in 22nd position we've got Simon Harris. And then we'll go to the start of the race, and I believe the conditions are far from ideal for our drivers.
Yes, rain has befallen the circuit. It is raining. The track 40% wetness, 13% of rain, as we can see our drivers making their way towards first corner, all on wet tyres. So we'll have to see how they manage the start, how they manage the spray indeed. We'll have a little look further up the field. Hopefully no one will forget their pit limiters as we head to the green flag, and hopefully for them the spray isn't too bad. But they're rolling up to start now. 22 drivers within our field, 100 minutes of racing coming up. How will the strategy fare with the weather?
Yeah, and well, hopefully it'll be a lot cleaner than it was last season. Multi-car pile-up, but this season it's looking cleaner as we go green, green, green. All racing, it's Bevan still in the lead, and Zach Finney's under some pressure from Elvin Blomqvist, who's down the inside. Actually, Alex Shahabi down the inside. There are too many yellow cars to pick from here, and it looks like Shabi's going to go up into the top 3. We've got some yellow flags in the background. But Alex Shabby has got the move done for third position. Elvin Bovis is going to try and go around the outside. He's hit Shabby in the side. Luckily, both of them still facing in the right direction there. Daniel Williams has had a slow start, makes contact there with, I think that's Nick Manders, and it looks like the Toyota's gone up into the top 6 now. So Tyler Hammer is the fastest of the non-Ferraris by the looks of it. And then we've got 3 wide for second position. Down the inside goes one of the cars. I can't even tell who's who at the moment. I think that is Zach Finney still ahead of Blomqvist and Shabi, but there's too many cars to pick from. It's Elvin Blomqvist third and Alex Shabi still in 4th position. Somehow Zach Finney still in 2nd, but some great racing from these guys in the first couple of laps. Now Tyler Hammer down the inside. He's going to slot himself just into 4th position. It looks like Alex Shabi's going to try and get him back on the switchback, but no, it's not good enough. Tyler Hammer, Dmitry Yaрошenko, too many drivers to pick from. No, Tyler Hammer in 5th. And it's behind Shabi. He's tried to go down the inside and he's made contact and now he's off the road.
Disaster as he's going to have to wait for the field to go by to rejoin safely, but what a manic start it has been. We'll look further up. The Glick has had a very good start up to P11, now trying to chase down Runar Bertolfsson for a top 10 position. Drivers have had issues. Oliver Knowles and Jacob Hine also towards the back of the field. Do you have a replay here for what's happened with Ollie Knowles? Looks like they're coming to a stop as they might be struggling to make it back to pit lane, but can see here some incident trying to pick out the corner here. That's turn 1 incident with Ollie Knowles and Jacob Hine. And then not realising the extent of their damage, throwing the car quite heavily into the wall at turn 2.
Yeah, that's definitely not nursing it back to the pit lane, but in the end, it looks like he has actually got it into the pit box now, has Oliver Knowles, to get some, earned attention to that car. So he's going to bring it up towards his pit stall. But not a great start, considering a great qualifying session and a decent result last time out for himself. We've got Simon Harris, who's actually up to 12th position as well, running really well in these wet weather conditions. I believe he started in 22nd, I want to say, and is already up to 12th position off the start of this race, just behind Charlie Morgan as well. So it's all change in this field at the start of the race. 40% wet circuit, 30% rain at the moment as well. It's down the inside. Tyler Hammer trying to make their way back up through the field, but it's made contact with their teammate of Tom Watson. So Watson holds on to the position as Tyler Hammer has a little bit of a half spin sideways moment there, but is able to gather it back up. We've got Dmitry Yaрошenko under pressure from Zach Silver. That's actually Yaрошenko as well, worth mentioning, has lost the AMS lead to Nick Manders and is going to lose 2nd position in the AMS class to Zach Silver if he's not careful. They'll run up towards the left-hander here, and it's Zach Silver is gone ahead, and that's dropped the Ferrari out of, well, actually still on the podium slots, but it's dropped him to 3rd where he compared to where he started this race, where he started 1st. So not ideal for Dmitry Yaрошenko. Hasn't given this one up yet, though. Is sitting in the slipstream now as we come down the back straight. Could send it, he's going to be forced to send it to the inside as Zach Silver's hugging that outside line, and his sweeps to the inside there. Knows he's able to break a lot later on that wider line than Dmitry is able to, and actually blocks the inside from Dmitry Yaрошenko on that undercut. So forces Dmitry to check up coming onto the straight. So has lost him about half a second now as they come up towards turn 1. We've got Druni in 10th position, another person who's had a great start to this race in the wingless Peugeot as well. We love a wingless Peugeot, and that's great to see. Charlie Morgan trying to send him around the outside, but it's going to go across the dirt here. It's going to go a little bit off-roading into that dusty, sandy kind of dirt they have at this Florida venue, as he's going to go down the inside of the Peugeot, because it has actually just gone straight on there at turn 2, I believe. So that puts Charlie Morgan into 10th position and actually drops Druni into 11th, who as we come back through the field, Simon Harris has had a moment and is running side by side with Tyler Hammer, who's trying to get back up through the order, and it looks like it's going to be Tyler Hammer who's going to go through, and yeah, there you go, it through and past goes Tyler Hammer, and Simon Harris will have to settle down in 13th position.
Tyler Hammer running wide there, not getting the move and falling back. It's been a difficult start to the race for them, trying to make progress, but ultimately sort of struggling to get used to the conditions, struggling to adapt to them. Has already got right onto the back of Tom Watson and will try once again for a move as that's a car spun off. That's Daniel Williams spun off, dropping down the order, as it has been a very difficult start. The rain getting a little bit heavier, up to 15% now. The track will be gradually getting a little slippier as this race goes on. Look to the inside, Tom Watson running a bit wide. That allows Tyler Hammer to get alongside. Round the outside, will give them the inside for the right-hander here. That leads on to the back straight. Tyler placing the car well, preventing Tom Watson from getting a cut back and running it around the outside, and will have now claimed 13th place. Trying to chase down Simon Harris once again to get themselves into P12, hopefully not to run wide this time and to lose the place almost immediately.
So he's got the move done, and it looks like Kevin Drini here has got back up into 10th position after Ben Law's had an issue at the final corner. They'll come up towards turn 1 now, and we'll have to see. It's the Peugeot running wide again, so that's given Ben Law a place back inside the top 10, but a great start still by Kevin Drini here, who's doing a great job at the moment in 11th position. Also Ben Law as well doing a great job, as actually no, I've commentators cursed him as he's gone straight on, so that puts Kevin Drini back inside the top 10. So it's well, a good start by the Peugeot. They're currently the lead and only Peugeot in the field, as we've lost our regulars of Ben Shawley, as who's normally running near the front. As we come down the inside, Simon Harris on Tyler Hammer gets the position back done, but is completely missed the corner there as they come into the hairpin, and has had to go onto the outer layout of the circuit to rejoin the circuit, and that's lost them some position as Watson just goes past. So that's Simon Harris now down to 14th position. Oh, there's a car off the road. I think that's Rune Bertolsen. It is Rune Bertolsen. So this wet weather really catching out a lot of our drivers as Rune is off the road. He's going to lose out to, I think that's Tom Watson. So that's going to put Bertolsen down to 13th position, potentially with some damage to that car. Actually doesn't look too bad considering it's been off the road. So maybe got away with it, and it's actually looking like it's been able to put him under pressure. And actually Ben Law off in the background as well, as we've lost Dorner from the field as well already in this race, so it's dropped to the back of the field. So that's one driver already down, and yeah, Ben Law is now sadly down to 16th after one stage on this, that being inside the top 10.
Yeah, the drivers are struggling to continuously adapt to this track, as plenty of mistakes being made. We have a couple of replays. Let's start off with Dorner, who has unfortunately retired from the race. But yeah, this is them here in the fray coming through the Cordier section of the track into the right-hander. Just gets onto the grass in the braking zone, runs it into the barrier. Heavy knock on both sides of the axle, and that was their day done, unfortunately for them. Also got a couple more replays for Artyom in the Glick. Mentioned how they were doing really well, how they'd got themselves well up into the top, nearly into the top 10, but they had a spin coming off of Sunset, facing the wrong way, right on the racing line. Luckily for them, they had a bit of space to get pointing the right way, but so again, stuck at the pit entry used by IMSA, had to sort of three-point turn, use a bit of reverse. We'll get going by quite a bit of time loss. That's dropped them down to 19th position.
No, that's a shame, and actually it looks like they're off the road again. I can't. Oh, that's just coming out. Well, that's turn 8, turn 9 area, and that car is crabbing. So I assume for poor Casanova here, it's been another off, because yeah, that's definitely not facing in the right direction, that car.
No, it isn't, and they're struggling to keep in a straight line. There's Ben Law just in front, also having another mistake of their own. Drivers certainly struggling. We should say it is set to dry up later in the race, So we may get a crossover period, but the drivers won't be thinking about that currently, as some of them certainly are struggling. Let's head back up the field to our wingless Peugeot, who is trying to chase down Elvin Blomqvist for P8, but is being hunted down by Tyler Hammer, who's had a bit of a disappointing start, has shown some decent pace, shown that they can be further up the grid, challenging the Ferraris towards the front. But with a couple of mistakes, a little spin, finds himself just within the top 10. But now, with a run out of T1, will get to the inside and should claim P9 here. The Peugeot tries to think about the outside, but in the end cannot hold it the long way round. Tyler Hammer into P9. Next, trying to chase down the Ferrari of Blomqvist.
So I've just got a question for you, just off about the game itself, to be honest. So obviously this is the old spec of the Peugeot. Will that put them in any sort of kind of disadvantage that they're running the older spec car, or does it kind of balance itself out?
I think the old car is still bopped with the current cars, so theoretically it should be. It has its strengths and weaknesses. It is a little bit stronger in terms of straight line speed, I believe, but that does mean it sacrifices a bit of cornering ability. So, straight line speed tracks, this Peugeot can be very competitive. More technical tracks, especially in conditions like these, I think it does struggle a little bit more, as we can see here for Kevin. Currently running in the top 10, struggling to keep up with Tyler Hammer and Blomqvist in front of them, but it's still not a bad position anyway, as we see Tyler Hammer's trying to line up a move down the inside of Blomqvist, gets into the side of the Ferrari again, and goes for another spin.
Yeah, it's really not the day for Tyler Hammer, just trying to go up the inside there. I think that was into turn 15, yeah, coming around 16 now, so just coming towards the Le Mans part of the circuit, and yeah, just tried to get up the inside, but I don't think it was completely alongside there, and yeah, it's just not the day for Tyler Hammer. Luckily, it doesn't look like there's too much damage to that car again after now that's their second time going around. But yeah, it's at least the damage doesn't look, well, actually it doesn't look bad at all for Tyler Hammer, so at least yeah, it's not gone their way so far, but still an hour and 27 minutes to recoup and regather, and it's still running in 12th position, 2 seconds back from Bertolfsson at the moment. So it's still, and actually only around about 10 seconds back from Morgan, who's in 7th in the field. So there's still a pretty respectful result on here, and probably could get, if they can continue how they're going, could get up to somewhere for where they qualified. So it's definitely not over yet for Tyler Hammer as we come to Rune Bertolfsson and Tom Watson. They're currently fighting for a place in the top 10 in the field. And as we come towards the braking zone for the hairpin, it doesn't look like Runa's close enough yet, but Tom Watson doing a good job. But as I say that, as Tom Watson kept on the road, he's run a little bit wide, and that's going to put them under some pressure from Rune Bertolfsson. Bertolfsson right up behind them there as they come up through turns 8, now through turn 9, up towards turn 10. The Porsche really strong on the brake, but runs a little bit wide as he's trying to keep out of the rear of the Toyota. He's able to take a tighter line there as they go through turn 11, now through turn 12 and 13. They'll jump onto the brakes, turn the car in for Tower, as gets a tyre entry, but gets a little bit too happy on the throttle there and kicks the back end of the Porsche out. That's going to help the Toyota extend its legs away now as they come up towards turns 14, now into turn 15 area part of the circuit, and it seems like the Porsche is a little bit too far back to do any sort of attacking moves down the Ullman straight as we enter onto that part of the circuit now. Yeah, the gap up to about 6/10 now. You can see full throttle being applied obviously on the straight, up into 6th gear now, up into 7th as they'll now smash down the gearbox any second now, jumps onto the brakes, down 3rd gear as they come under the bridge now. Is trying to get a tighter exit to give him a shorter drive onto the straight to try and close that gap up. He's slowly done that. The gap's slightly coming down under, actually no, still just above 7/10, now under 7/10 as they come into the braking zone for turn 1. Also a tighter line again taken by the Porsche, the Toyota taking a bit of a wider entry into that part of the corner, and as they come up to the braking zone now for turn 2 and 3, the Porsche again taking a bit of a wider line. You can see the drivers in these wet weather conditions trying to avoid the curbs. The as they don't want to kind of spin their rears up on them as they come now down the big bend. And always a spin for Daniel Willems, down in 16th. Such a promising result last time out, but just not liking these wet weather conditions or to bring circuit, and finds himself now down in 16th in the field. And I think that's their kind of second excursion now we've seen. So yeah, another driver not liking these wet weather conditions.
Yeah, was closing up to Martin Thorpe, was starting to put the pressure on. We were just about to switch to it. Then, as you mentioned, drivers trying not to spin, the gap suddenly started increasing. Realised, yeah, that was a spin for them, unfortunately. Someone who is also going on a bit of an attacking charge, though, is Nick Manders. They are trying to challenge Alex Shahabi for the final podium position, trying to break up the current all-Ferrari podium that there is standing, which has very much opened up at the front of the field. But the Porsche driver chasing down the yellow Ferrari towards sunset. The drivers, as the track continues to get wetter, in up to 27% now. Track average wetness at 60% is getting a bit difficult. A little further back, though, Ben Law has gone for another spin. And they've, just as they were catching up to Daniel Williams, who of course made their own mistake, they have another mistake of their own. But it's back to this battle for P3. Yeah, as mentioned, with track getting wetter, the spray is going to be getting worse and worse, making it more difficult for drivers to see as they close up to the driver in front. That's probably what's making it difficult for these drivers to really close into a point where they're able to make those, to make any overtakes.
Yeah, as we come through the big bend now, a second now about separating these two different classes as well. Nick Manders currently leading the way in the amateur class. Second position in the AMS is Yaroshenko still, followed by Zach Silver in 6th position. So this technically, this isn't for class position, but for overall between these two at the moment. They're both of them trying to avoid the big puddles down the insides of the circuit. The gap has actually got risen there. 1.4 is the gap between them as they come into the braking zone now through turns 8 and 9, as they will come up towards, just in a second now, they'll come through towards actually turn 13, that is Tower. And the gap coming down slightly again, just drops for a second there, under a second, but is slowly rising back up now as they come towards Bishop Corner, now into turn 15. And it's the gap coming down again. A little bit of a sideways moment there, I think, for Alex Shahabi. So you can tell how much he's pushing. The back end really did kick out on them. And it's just about not, well, just about didn't lose it. And it's just about somehow sustained the gap at about a second mark. But these two not really giving up much from one another. Tyler Hammer and Tom Watson back on circuit together again. Watson behind Tyler Hammer now, who's now back up to 10th position. But we have a replay to go to. What's happened here?
Yeah, this was Tyler Hammer closing in on Tom Watts. Not for the first time this race. You can see Tom Watts sliding around as they go onto the curb a little bit. So then Tyler Hammer with the momentum, trying to look to now the inside, will get the move done under braking if they can pull the car up. Does run a little bit deep, but has got the move done. Keeps on the road off the grass, and will hopefully now break away into the top 10 for them, and can go chasing after Kevin in front of them in the Peugeot, who's not too far ahead, just a second and a half. That gap will be coming down quite quickly, so how about we jump on board with Tyler.
Yeah, here we are, Tyler Hammer now, as we come through turns 3, 4, and now into turn 5 before the big bend. There's the bridge that we're about to come under now with the gravelly advertising on, coming through, well, the basically flat right-hander that is the big bend. It's not really that big of a bend though, because you are taking it flat, and you probably won't notice it as a corner as we come into the hairpin now. Down to first gear goes the Toyota of Tyler Hammer, trying to chase the Peugeot, as Scotty mentioned earlier as well. Maybe he doesn't like these technical circuits as well. Tyler Hammer really brave over those puddles. Is we have a car off. It's Dmitry Yaroshenko. That's going to have lost them second position in the amateur class, and may have lost them, actually I think still on the podium, and somehow only lost out to Zach Silver in the end. The rain actually up now to 26%, and the circuit now on 60% wetness. So it's getting a little bit slipperier on this circuit, and as you can see, really close to that outside paintings of the circuit there. That isn't what unsettles the car though. Just seems to, it was a little bit bumpy around there, and that just seemed to upset the car as he turned it in. And luckily, just ends up on that grass on the right-hander there. I think that's just coming out of turn 10. And has been able to just turn it around quickly and not lose out too much. Yeah, so still sits in third in the AMS class, 6th overall, so only lost one position, but it's still, well, it's now just under 4 seconds back from Zach Silver, and luckily still has a 3-second gap to Charlie Morgan. So they are still holding on to the podium positions in the AMS class as it stands. And Charlie Morgan may not be, as Elvin Blomqvist has just got ahead. Charlie Morgan getting really tank slappery coming on to the start finish straight, and it's let Elvin Blomqvist go through and up into 7th position.
Yeah, Charlie having quite a purr last time round, 2 minutes 6.6. Elvin Blomqvist, who passed him into 2 minute 4.8, and now behind Tyler Hammer was much quicker as well. Let's just have a little look at the difference between them. You can see 3.2 seconds quicker was Charlie Morgan on Tyler Hammer. Charlie running a little bit wider. That's going to make an easy move for Tyler Hammer, who had just also passed Kevin through Sunset at the end of the previous lap, as well as we've seen Elvin passing Charlie. So Elvin and Tyler, who have maybe had a couple of mistakes, drop them back towards this field, have getting their way back up through the field. Bit of a slide there for Charlie, so they tried to put down the par out of the hairpin, but they do get going now, and next car behind them is Tom Watson, who is closing in. We can see the gap is now by a second between the two of them. Last lap, Tom Watson 1.9 seconds quicker than Charlie. So Charlie really struggling for pace at this phase of the race.
Yeah, really struggling is Charlie Morgan. Rain up to 22%, again 60% wetness on the circuit, so it is wetter than it was at the start of this race. Tom Watson now is dropped to 11th position, so has made a mistake there and has dropped behind Druni, who has now gone back up into the top 10 in the field after starting the last lap in the top 10 in the field. So that Peugeot really yo-yoing at the moment as it decides to actually come into the pit lane for an early stop by the looks of it. There it is, coming into its pit, on the pit limiter, coming into the pit lane. As we are watching at the moment Tyler Hammer on the back of Elvin Blomqvist. This is the battle for 7th position in the field. The Ferrari getting a little bit tail happy coming out the final corner there. Eventually catches it, does Elvin Blomqvist, as they come down the start finish straight. Will there be a move attempted by Tyler Hammer? No, it's still too far back. Half a second still separates both those cars as they go through turn 1 now. They'll head up towards turn 3. This is a potential overtaking spot if you're feeling brave, but it's going to be tricky in these wet weather conditions, and Tyler Hammer decides against it, but gets a much better drive off the corner than the Ferrari does. So for a second there, I think was like saying, oh hello, I could have a look down the inside into turn 5 here, but has decided against it as they go through the big bend now. The Ferrari giving us tow to Tyler Hammer there as they come up towards the braking zone for the hairpin. The Toyota closes up onto the brakes, actually avoids the curbs, and the Ferrari runs very wide, and that's going to give the Toyota the inside now as they go through turn 8, and that should be, and it is, the position goes the way of Tyler Hammer. That puts them back up to 7th place in the field after 2 spins early on. And eventually, the recovery drive is nearly complete for Tyler Hammer. 3 seconds to find to Dmitry Yaroshenko, who's just up the road. And yeah, Tyler Hammer, after 2 spins in this session, is finally back on track.
Yeah, as you said, P7 nearly 4 seconds to Yaroshenko, but closing in was 0.8 quicker than Yaroshenko last lap. Now with a bit more free air, I wonder how quickly he'll be able to close that gap down. But tide of the race has changed. Up until this point in the race, the track has been continuously getting wetter, the rain getting heavier. But that is not the case anymore. Rain starting to get lighter, down to 18%. We start seeing a peak of around 27%. So the track will level off here, about 60% wetness. Won't quite reach the full 100% wetness. Well, actually, I should say the value you see on your screen towards the top left is the average wetness across the track. On my timing screen, I've got a little additional information that says the max wetness of the track is 100%. So the track not consistently the same amount of water across the entirety of the circuit. There are some parts that are wetter than others, some that are drier. 60% is the average across the whole track, but there are some parts that the game considers to be 100% wet. The drivers will have to be a little bit careful of that. Maybe that's what's been catching them out, but they carry on. Nick Manders had a bit of a per lap a couple of laps ago, did 2:08.4 seconds, pardon me, off of the pace. As we see, instant here for Zach Finney from second place. Was a very comfortable second place. Might not be so comfortable anymore.
No, it looked like they went into the wall backwards there, so I think that's just at turn 13, I think, in the field. I think it was at Tower, if I'm not very much mistaken. I think it might have been. Here we go to the replay. Is he taking the curves quite easily? He doesn't have any cars around him in the field. It's just that Druni there, who's in the background, and it looked like he'd locked up onto the brakes, turning into the corner. The back end overtakes them and backwards into that DHL advertising tyre wall. Luckily, hasn't lost the rear end in that back accident. What I mean by that is the rear wing. And looks like the damage isn't too bad for Zach Finney, because they have continued on as, oh dear, Kevin Druni here has had a bit of an off by the looks of it. It doesn't look like the car's carrying too much damage, but that's going to drop them behind Zach Finney. Well, Zach Finney's going to relap them in the end. So we'll have to see what that does for Kevin Druni. And it did go for an early stop in this field, so we're not really going to be able to tell how much damage that spin has caused until later on in this race. But this seems to be trying to fight that car a bit. So it does have a bit of damage, I think. And as you can tell there, going through turn 3, gets it completely sideways. So yeah, it isn't a completely happy Peugeot, I don't think.
Yeah, struggling with the balance now. It's a little look further up. Martin Thorpe trying to chase down the Cadillac of Danielle Williams. We'll just see last lap between these two. Martin Thorpe gained 1.068 seconds coming onto the back straight. Still a little bit, hasn't had a great sequence through the Le Mans section. Drop them back out of the slipstream, which would be ever so valuable to getting a move done potentially into Sunset, maybe down the start-finish straight if they could get a good run over the bumps through the long right-hander. But now just a little too far back for Martin Thorpe. Buzz with most of the moves on Le Mans Ultimate, they don't happen in an instant. They take a little while of sort of continuous just applying the pressure to your opponent, waiting for a little mistake, a little opportunity to present itself, and taking advantage of that, as I think with the Cadillac there. Just a couple of wheels into the grass on the outside of turn 1. Very easily done when you're pushing the limits of adhesion.
Yeah, and both of these are really pushing at the moment. 4 attempts is, well, actually over 4 attempts is the gap. Now over half a second is the gap between them. Williams gets a much stronger run coming on into the big bend as they come up towards the hairpin. Now they'll jump onto the brakes. Probably looks a little bit stronger on the brakes, closes that gap up to within half a second again, kicks up some sparks, and actually takes looks like they got a much better run out of the hairpin there, and so it's closed the gap down by nearly 2 tenths as they run up through turns 8, through turn 9, now up towards turn 10. Oh my goodness, Cadillac getting right to the edge of the circuit. They're losing all of the concrete slash tarmac used in this venue. Oh, a little half spin there from the Ferrari, and another spin from Charlie Morgan. Morgan's lost it just into the exit of turn 15, and I'm pretty sure Thorpe looked like they had a little half spin there. That's given a second gap between Williams, actually no, 2-second gap now between Williams and Thorpe, and now Charlie Morgan has dropped down the order as well. We'll go to a replay here and see what happens to Charlie Morgan.
Coming through, left-handers braking for the right-hander, just not able to slow the car down. The rear sliding out as they go for a bit of a half spin. Luckily, not have to worry about stalling the car with the Porsche. It will just drive off with the hybrid from a standstill. So Charlie losing a bit of time there with damage to the tyres a little bit, but will ultimately get to carry on now in P11. They will have to have a bit of a recovery drive to try and chase down Runar Butolfsson. He'll be the next driver in front of them. You can see 3 seconds is that gap currently, as Charlie looks to re-find their rhythm and hopefully make a couple of those positions back.
Yeah, bad luck for Charlie Morgan. And it drops him outside the top 10 again, so puts Runar Butolfsson inside the top 10 in the field, as Morgan now has a 3-second gap to try and find to the fellow Porsche driver. Oh, that's not going to help though. Very twitchy moment as they come over the sausage curb of the hairpin there. Just caught the inside rims on that part of the corner. Rain now down to 5% though, so just shows how little rain it is falling at the moment. Still an average 60% wetness for the whole circuit, but still Charlie Morgan struggling through some corners as well. Through turn 10 there, gets a big snap of oversteer, but is able to keep the car facing in the right direction, but is doing a decent job of doing so, and is still about 3.5 seconds back from the next car in the field. Currently both close to battle on circuit by the looks of it is Harris and Johansson, the Rothmans liveried Porsche, up against the Wayland Racing Harris in the red Cadillac, as they will come up towards turn 15 now into turn 16 onto the start. Actually, no, I've got confused where I am. That was 15. Now we come into turn 16, and oh my goodness, trying to get past the Alpine of Jacob Hein there. Is trying to lap him, obviously, but obviously Hein wanting to stay ahead, and Simon Harris wants him out of the way as quickly as possible, because obviously he has his own battle to put up with, and the issue is it is opening up that gap as they come into the final bend now through Sunset. The gap has opened up to about a second now. Jacob Hein takes a wider line through here. Simon Harris is trying to take an inside line. Oh my goodness, he's even cutting the grass on the inside there, is how tight he's taking the line. He's dropped to within a second of the car ahead of him again. But the issue is he's still got an Alpine between them, and it's making this battle a little bit awkward. Luckily, the Alpine runs out wide. That's going to give Simon Harris a look up the inside. Oh, loses the rear end, though. Keeps it facing in the right direction. That's caused the gap to increase to over second again between Johansson and Harris. Harris really wants Jacob Hein to get out of the way here so he can focus on that battle. But Hein obviously is normally a runner up the front of the field, so it does have good pace usually. So it's making this overtake a little bit tricky for Simon Harris to find a way through, as they will come up towards the braking zone. And Elvin Blomqvist has had an off, I think.
Yaroshenko.
Yaroshenko, I apologise. And it does, I was going to say, look like they had damage, but it doesn't. Now they're going at full pace again. The car doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, let's get a replay of what has happened here. And wait for it to load through. The turn 11 into 12 and 13. Now he just loses the rear end, and then eventually car snaps off into the wall. Luckily is able to get the car turned around without having to utilise reverse. Will lose, fall down to 7th place, losing place to Tyler Hammer, who was chasing them down and was closing in. And so the next car behind them will be Elvin Blomqvist in the very similarly, well, exactly identical livery Ferrari behind, but yeah, just over a second separates the pair of them. Now it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of laps which way that battle will fall.
Yeah, I think with that spin as well, I think Dmitry Yaroshenko is still able to sit on the podium in the amateur class, because I still believe it's only Silver and Nick Manders running up ahead in the field. The rain has stopped now though, 0% rain, and the circuit getting dry with that 40% wetness average over the circuit. Yellow flag comes out again. Oh my gosh, Jacob Hein nearly collects one of the Ferraris there. I don't know if that was the race leading one, but that was really close as Jacob Hein tried to rejoin the circuit. He is going to put a cone in the path of Ben Law there, who kicks it up into the air. But Jacob Hein, a big sideways moment coming through Sunset, was looked to be completely unaware of the Ferrari there, and that could have been a nasty moment for the pair of them. But somehow, whoever was driving the Ferrari did some great avoiding action. I'm not sure if, Scotty, you can tell me who was driving in the Ferrari. Whoever was in it, it's just spun.
Not sure.
It's this one here. I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
Who are you?
there we go. Martin Thorpe.
Mime Thorpe. So Mime Thorpe, just avoiding contact with Jacob Hine. It's running in 15th. It's 3 seconds ahead of. Oh my goodness! Nearly gets cut up by one of the AF Corsa Ferraris as well. As Hine. It seems Mime Thorpe. Now the circuit's getting drier. Seems to be struggling in the conditions. Really struggling for traction. As both of those cars slot ahead. We'll have a look. I think now at what happened to Jacob Hine.
Yeah, so coming into Sunset, already seen one car lose spin round from trying to put the power down here. Is it same thing? It is almost identical. The car not spinning towards the inside as much, parked sideways on the racing line. Such a dangerous place. Tries to get going. Then Martin Thorpe just able to avoid it. That was so close. But then just a moment later, Martin Thorpe, having got past that instant, maybe a little shaken, coming through turn 2 into turns 3 and 4. They'll lock up in the front left, runs himself wide onto the grass and goes for a spin of his own. We'll get going just as the group there is Jacob Hine closing in now. And we'll try and stem from the Alpine, but the Alpine getting back past. There is a lap between these two cars, unfortunately for Jacob. Was not a position gained again. But yes, just sort of these two slowing each other with their own mistakes would be a little bit frustrating for each other.
Yeah, really annoying for the pair of them. Sorry, you caught me mid-yawn there. As, it's annoying for the pair of them. This battle's heating up, though. Dmitry Yaрошchenko now behind, actually, no, still ahead of Elvin Blomqvist. The gap now half a second between them as another lengthy yellow flag comes out there. As, we'll see, it's for Ben Law, is parked to the side of the road coming out the final corner. Seems to be struggling in these wet weather conditions. It's in an awkward spot, though, because drivers slightly on the racing line, but it has cleared now that yellow flag, so we can come back to this battle between Dmitry Yaрошchenko and Elvin Blomqvist. This, as you can see, for Yaрошchenko, it's still always the sideways moment. He's lost it. Elvin Blomqvist in the chase has just, chucked the car in a little bit too much into turn 16. And the rear end has gone, no, I'm not gripping anymore, and has completely overtaken the front end. And it looks like it's going to be enough to give up a position as well to Tom Watson. So that puts Tom Watson now into 8th. And, completely drops Blomqvist off the back of Yaрошchenko. That gives Yaрошchenko some breathing room, but completely lost it by himself there, Elvin Blomqvist. And as well, looking at turn 10, it's a wrong way facing Jacob Hine. It looks like he's done a full 180 coming into that corner as well. So it seems the drivers now in these changing conditions are maybe getting a little bit too confident, maybe feeling, there's a little bit more grip now. And it's they're pushing it a little bit too much, and that's leading to some more mistakes now. And still an hour and 2 minutes to go in this race. It's still very lively.
Yeah, we're not even 40 minutes into the race, not even at the halfway mark where we expect to see some pit stops. We're sort of looking at 10 more laps until people need to pit. They will be able to go a little over the halfway distance. Question is, will they be able to go far enough into the race to the point that the track is dry enough for slick tyres? That is the question. There are some drivers saving some energy. They have been using a little bit less. The biggest one of those is Daniel Johannesson, who is currently running in P12. They have 47%. Comparatively, our leader is on 35%. So big difference there. But Tulsa and Charlie Morgan are another two people who have been saving a bit more energy. They can go an extra couple of laps compared to everyone in front of them. That could be a big advantage if they're able to just pit a couple laps later, wait until the track is a little drier, a little more suitable for slick tyres, and then don't struggle as much on the cold tyres when they come out of the pits.
So, yes, that is going to be something to keep an eye on as Zach Silver gets a little twitch, just not a big one at the rear end there coming out of the final corner. As it seems like Tyler Hammer is still following him through. Again, Tyler Hammer a pro runner, so won't have any effect on the AMS standing. So as it stands, Silver will stay second in the AMS class if they lose this position. It will only affect overall standings with 5th position potentially going the way of Tyler Hammer if he's able to get the move done as they come towards the big bend now. The pair of them do. Also probably worth mentioning as well, Tyler Hammer leading the oNiD drivers at the moment, the highest of them in the field, with Tom Watson the second in 8th position so far. Is Zach Silver doing a good job now of trying to defend Tyler Hammer?
Yes, we've seen our moment go 0.6 quicker was Tyler Hammer last lap, and we can see that as they continue to close in now. Luckily, with the track getting dry, there isn't quite as much spray, and it's helping the drivers to fight a little more closely. Tyler Hammer won't have to be looking through as much of that spray as they were thinking about a move to the inside there. They've already made sort of a mistake being a little bit optimistic on the moves. Have got their car sort of fairly alongside, but struggled to slow it down, not run into their competitor. Sort of, you could say, fortunately, Tyler has been the one to spin rather than the opponent they're racing. But a little wide there for Zach Silver, potentially opening the door. Tyler Hammer just being patient this time, knowing there is a lot of time to go. They will have more opportunities. Does, though, drop them back as they come on to the Ullman straight towards Sunset. And yeah, he'll miss this potential opportunity into Sunset this lap. We'll have to wait for another one later on.
Yeah, and both of them kind of got big achievements coming into this race. Tyler Hammer, this is their 35th start on Sim Racing GP, and Zach Silver, if they're able to stay in the podium positions in the AMS class, it will be their 50th podium on Sim Racing GP as well. So the achievement for Tyler Hammer with the 35th start is kind of already secured, but Zach Silver, as long as they can stay in the podium positions, a 50th on the platform, which is something to be applauded for themselves. We've got a glick off on the outside of the circuit there. Rejoins does Kasanov in the Glickenhaus car. Nice to see that in the field as well. Gives us a little bit of variety in the field. Nice to see something a little bit different running as well, and a privateer card to the World Endurance Championship as well. Obviously, don't see that much in real life at the moment, with most of the teams being manufacturers, and with the non-manufactured teams like Glickenhaus and Van Wall / Bicycles dropping off the grid last year or 2 years ago now, I think. So yeah, nice to see them still run on the platform as this battle still continues between Tyler Hammer and Zach Silver. Silver getting right on, Tyler Hammer getting right onto the rear of Silver, still not able to get past as they will get back onto the power. As they're all Glickenhaus straight on in the background there, but luckily looks like they're going to turn the car around as we'll follow these two through turn 15 now. It seems like Tyler Hammer is kind of more aware of where the grip is on circuit at the moment. Just seems a little bit more stable, does the T02 at this point in this session. I say that though, gets a massive snap of understeer there coming onto the straight. Just didn't seem like the front tyres wanted to grip up at all as he came into the right part of the circuit there, and it has meant that he's lost a whole lot of time coming down the back straight there. As they come through Sunset now, the gap is nearly back up to a second, so that gives Zach Silver a nice little cushion maybe for this lap, knowing that they're not going to be overtaken. 56 minutes to go in this race. If you're only just joining us, this is the oNiD Sim HoundLMU 100 Series Part 2, round 4 of the championship. We've passed the halfway mark now of this 6 round calendar season. 6 weeks of racing. We're a month in at this point, and the hypercar's still giving us some great stuff to be watching as we'll see this gap still coming down between the pair of them now. Last lap was I think actually Tyler Hammer was 10th quicker. Would have been more if the gap if he hadn't made the mistake. And onto the grass there as well. Maybe it's a little lapse in concentration for Tyler Hammer. Gets it back facing onto the circuit and still trying to bring this gap down. The gap at the start of the lap, remember, 9/10, just under a second between them. Now, well, for a brief second there, was dropped to half a second. So the gap is coming down pretty considerably still. But the issue is, it's one thing to get close to Zach Silver, it's another thing to get past him, and as we've seen so far in this battle. And Tyler Hammer is finding that out firsthand. They'll come up towards turn 13 through Tower Corner now, onto that slight banked corner, now coming up towards turn 14, then the Le Mans part of the circuit, and the gap is down again, and there could be an opportunity coming onto the Ullman straight. You can see trying to stay in the mirrors this Tyler Hammer, trying to put the Cadillac under some pressure, the Chip Ganassi liveried car, as they will come onto the Ullman straight now, and looks much better by Tyler Hammer, and it seems like Zach Silver got a little bit of oversteer coming onto the straight as well, but still, the drive seemed to be enough to open up the gap ever so slightly, but the toe is helping Tyler Hammer, and we know Tyler's stronger onto the brakes, so we'll have to see, will there be an alternate line taken by Tyler Hammer here? No, still follows the Cadillac through the corner, takes a little bit more of the inside line there, goes across the yellow restrictor line there, and is about just under 3/10 back from Zach Silver as they come onto the back straight now. Will there be a move attempted here by Tyler Hammer? We'll have to see. It's not close enough. We're not really an overtaking corner. You have to get a really good toe on that start finish straight, as we've seen so far today. If you want to get side by side into there, this is where it's going to be overtake into turn 3. It's not close enough yet for Tyler Hammer to get the move done, but it's surely going to be close now.
Yeah, it seems like Tyler Hammer's just sort of struggling out of turn 16, the corner onto the longest straight of the track. If there's one place you want to be strong, it's that corner right there. But that's where Tyler Hammer's struggling most, and that's what's making this move really difficult for them to get past the Chevy of Zach Silver. I've had a moment here for Charlie Morgan. They were running well in the top 10, had one mistake earlier that dropped them out, have had a second here that have dropped them even further back. But we'll continue watching this battle with Tyler Hammer. The track continuing to dry out now, average wetness of 12% across the track. Still some parts where it is a bit wetter, but generally the track is drying out. The rain has completely stopped, as Tom mentioned a little bit earlier, and these drivers getting towards the halfway point of the race. They can do about 6 more laps on their virtual energy. A couple of drivers, as mentioned, Batulsa and Charlie Morgan, able to run 1 or 2 laps longer, could prove beneficial depending on sort of how quickly. We must not be too far away from the slick tyre point, but who will brave, maybe even coming into the pits a little bit earlier than they need to put on slick tyres and try and get wet. This time, though, Tyler Hammer has got a run out of turn 12 with the slipstream, has closed up. Zach Silver defending the inside. Tyler Hammer thinking about sending the wrong way round, isn't able to. Is able to carry more momentum through Sunset, but all they find is the rear bumper of the yellow Cadillac in front of them. Down the start finish straight towards T1 now. Very short braking zone, difficult to make an overtake, but if your opponent makes a little mistake, runs wide, doesn't carry the momentum, you can make a move into T2, which Tyler Hammer's good look to do now. Zach a little wide through T1, presented an opportunity to Tyler Hammer, but they're going to be levels ahead now through turn 3. Zach bouncing over the curb on the inside. Will have to roll it round the outside at turn 4, squeezing Hammer onto the inside curb, and look at that terrible traction for them bouncing off the curb. And Zach Silver is able to hold on to P5 for another lap or so.
Commendable there by Zach Silver. I think if anyone was watching that, then you would have surely thought he was losing the position there, but it was able to send it around the outside at turn 5 there, and it just put Tyler Hammer off of the move. A great job by Zach Silver to hold on to 5th position. Also, hello Apex Vest, thank you for subscribing for 48 months in a row. And as we come through turn 8 now, or actually no, turns 11, 12, now into 13, it's up the inside for Tyler Hammer. He's going to try and send it into Tower. Zach Silver's been very polite and giving him the room there, but it's somehow Tyler Hammer still hasn't found a way through. Was nearly alongside going through Tower. We'll come up towards turn 14 now. They will quickly dart onto the brakes for turn 15. The Cadillac takes all the Cadillacs off the road. He's off the road. Silver is off the circuit and through down the inside into turn 16 goes Tyler Hammer, but he's gone wide. So now as we come onto the start finish straight between the pair of them, they're side by side. Nothing separates the pair of them. Really, you couldn't even put a ham sandwich between them as they come down the start finish straight. And now as they come into Sunset, Silver's going to have the inside, but Tyler's going to go for the undercut, but Silver's part the car on the inside. Both of them taking weird lines through here, trying to defend from one another, and both of them millimeters away from that outside tyre wall now. So as we come down towards turn 1, it looks like the TO is going to think about going to the inside again. No, just trying to keep in the mirrors of the Cadillac trying to let him know he's there. Both of them hugging the inside there. Both of them getting really twitchy on the exit as they now come up towards turn 3, jumping onto the brakes now, and it's not as close as it was last time around. It seems like Zach Silver's just going to stay ahead now. We'll have to see if the Toyota can get a better run out of turn 5. Maybe present an opportunity coming up towards the hairpin. We'll have to wait and see. They'll come through the right-hander now towards the braking zone. There's the Advent Health advertising board. You can see the hotel on the, I think the left-hand side of the circuit here. There it is, the big blue building. And as they come through the hairpin, a little bit twitchy there by Tyler Hammer, and that's going to lose them some time, and that opens up the gap to about 6 tenths between them. So for now, Zach Silver, yet again for another lap with less than 50 minutes to go in this race, with a 12% now average wet circuit, is staying ahead. But actually, I'm just going to carry on talking for a bit longer here because the gap seems to close down again. Is it going to be another send into Tower Corner by the Toyota? No, it won't be. So they stay how they are for now.
Yeah, Zach Silver doing a great job of positioning their car right where they need to hold on to the position, just to prevent, to not give any opportunities to Tyler Hammer. Their only mistakes have been through turn 15. Looks like they made another little mistake, ran a little bit wide onto the exit curb, sort of bobbled over it, running the plank over the curb, which unsells the car as it bottoms out. With Daniel Williams still further back, loses place to Charlie Morgan, but we'll stay on this battle for now as into sunset once again. Tyler Hammer closing up in the braking zone, running a little bit wider that initial part, trying to open the line for the second part, get better traction, better drive that will give them a run towards turn 1. Bit of slipstream now as well as they head towards T1. Again, not really an overtaking opportunity into here, but if they can set the move up through here, there is an opportunity into turn 2, which they tried a little while ago. Zach Silver nearly running into the grass once more, but Tyler Hammer not quite able to get alongside this time by. And I don't know about you, but I'm starting to see a dry line forming on the circuit. It is getting that much drier, so it won't be too long before we start seeing some slick tires come out onto the track. Whether the drivers want to put slick tires on yet or not is a choice that might be out of their control depending on the virtual energy. Look to the inside for Tyler Hammer, will be defended by Zach Silver, so round the outside the Toyota driver will eventually end up on the grass. No traction there, and Zach Silver survives yet another lap.
Yeah, Zach Silver, a mega defensive job by themselves so far, doing a great work of staying ahead of the Toyota. Hypercar up against LMDH. Hypercar up against a chassis made by Delara. So it's a great job done by the Cadillac V2's driver so far in this race, and there's still 47 minutes and 20 seconds to go, so really keeping us glued to our screens in this session. And I'd have to agree with you as well, there is definitely a dry line starting to form, so we'll may see some pit stops coming soon. 12% average on the circuit, and this racing is doing great. Probably worth mentioning as well, Alfie Bevan's still in the lead by 32 seconds, but we'll move. I'll just quickly breeze over that. But up the inside and through past the Daniel Johansson goes Daniel Willems, now up to 11th position in the field, so making some progress. I don't believe Willems has pitted yet, but is seems to get a nice easy move on the Rothman's car, and is seemed to be liking these dragging ditches a little bit more. No, maybe not. No, probably not. I should stop talking. I've completely cursed poor Daniel Williamson. He's lost now the position out to Daniel Johansson, who's now moved up back into 11th position. And poor Williams is going to have to do all that work all over again. But, I mean, it'll keep them entertained. As you can see, there is the stoppers. You can see Petr Jelinek has stopped. And there were some other drivers, I think, lower down in the order that have stopped in this race, as well as Tyler Hammer and Zach Silver. And there you are, 3 stops for Kasanov. Hein has stopped once, Knowles has stopped once, and Druni has stopped once in this race as well. And it makes you question why Druni stopped so early as well. Maybe underfuel the car, but as we'll surely have to come in to change tyres again. You can see biggest mover in the field is Watson, up 12 positions. Zach Silver up 11 positions. and that is amazing work, and obviously doing a massive job here to carry on the defense. Tyler Hammer, despite spinning twice as well, up one position in this field, so he's also doing a remarkable job as well. So these two really staying stuck together as it stands. So we'll have to see if things change in this drier part of the session. Obviously, the qualifying took part in the qualifying session in the dry. So we may see Tyler Hammer bring up some pace in. We may see Zach Silver start to drop off as a little bit of a lag spike for the Chip Ganassi driver there.
Yeah, we are really not far from the pits. We've seen our first driver from the front into the pits already. That is Zach Finney, who these drivers are passing now. I can see stopped in the pit box. We'll be filling up on virtual energy and taking a set of new tires. We can see the medium tires already on the car as we wait for them to finish their pit stop. They've pitted a couple of laps earlier than they needed to on fuel, so they feel like the track dry enough now for slick tires, and it'll be an advantage for them to get those slick tires on sooner rather than later. Will it work out for them, or will they struggle too much on the coil tires? Well, I'll have to wait and see, as Tyler Hammer, thinking again about a move to the inside turn 2, struggles to get the car pulled up for turn 2, nearly running into the back of the Cadillac, runs deep into the corner, luckily avoiding contact. Starting to slide around on the tires that will certainly be overheating at this stage of the race, starting to wear up quite a bit as well, and that'll be the main struggle for the drivers. Even though the track is drying and is getting grippier, the tires will be starting to struggle in these conditions, as we can see quite a few more drivers into the pits as well. I think it is time. We'll have to see how they fare on their outlap. Speaking of, let's have a look at Zach Finney. He'll be on a new set of slick tires, and we'll be exploring if the track really is ready for these tires or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Zach Finney makes of it. As you can see, now onto those dry sets of tires, and Zach really venturing out now. As here we can see Zach Finney now on those medium sets of tires, running. Oh, and that's not good. They've come together in the pit lane. Tyler Hammer's gone straight into the back of Zach Silver. The front end doesn't look too damaged on that Toyota, but that Toyota has really been in the wars today. Has really been, well, that especially the front end of the car has been in the wars today. He has made a couple of bits of contact with everyone and was a little bit off their markers there, with the car having to be repositioned. So that's not going to be great for their pit stop. We'll have to see how Zach Silver's works out, as Bevan back into the lead of this race. Martin Thorpe we currently with now as well, currently on the wet tyres still, as you can see by the kind of blue outer ring of them. As Martin, keep it on the road. He's just about kept on the road. You can see just took too much of the curb there, and it spun the rears up and sent him to the inside of the circuit. Really a one-way journey, couldn't do much about that. Eventually it's kept it facing in the right direction, but it's fallen back from the car they were fighting with, of Petr Jelinek. Will they come into the pit lane now? It looks like they are, taking that tighter line. Petr actually off of the road. Is Petr carried on? I think Petr has. It's gone straight on. So, and both of those cars have as well. Oliver Knowles and Johansson as well have continued on in this race. So they're still on wet tyres as well. And Knowles still on wets, Hines still on wets, Druni still on wet tyres as well. Petr Jelinek on wets, Bertolson up into second position on wet tyres as well at this stage in the race. And Tyler Hammer has gone ahead of Zach Silver. Silver seems to be struggling in these intermediate conditions. Remember, these are cold tyres, no tyre warmers. So both of them went completely straight on coming out the pit lane there. Not helped by the moist circuit as well. So completely driving on ice with ice tyres basically at the moment. And the big news coming out of the pit lane is that Tyler Hammer has got ahead of Zach Silver, but can he stay ahead? That's the question. Side by side, Zach's on the wet part of the circuit. Is he going to be able to get the car stopped? He's going down the inside. He's somehow kept it on the circuit, and Tyler Hammer hasn't. So through goes Zach Silver, despite being overtaken in the pit lane, has got the job done on circuit, moves up to 8th position overall. Will change after this pit cycle, but has got, importantly, back ahead to Tyler Hammer and is going to force Tyler Hammer back into this on-circuit battle.
That would be, but the real drama, we've seen that little collision between the two entering pit lane. I think Tyler Hammer might have bumped Zach Silver a bit harder than they would have liked. A penalty has come up for Zach Silver. I can only assume that is for pit speeding, potentially caused by that bump we've seen, and wanting to, now that they've come out of pit lane, a bit frustrated. Not only did Tyler Hammer jump them, but potentially giving them a penalty, wanted to get their own back. But Tyler Hammer's not going to wait for Zach Silver to come into the pits. He's going to try and get the move done around the outside into Tar Corner, runs in a little too deep, finds the grass, and will not be getting through that time by. But frustratingly for Zach, they will be taking a trip through pit lane. Maybe not this lap. I think they want to wait a couple of laps if they don't run too wide through turn 15 once more. Stay a couple of laps and try and hold up Tyler Hammer and show just how aggrieved they are at what has happened.
Yeah, but they should still be very calm and calculated in their defensive maneuvers as well, because two wrongs don't make a right. So don't get revengeful in their defensive driving. Oh, actually, no, that's, never mind, all into the wall, and that's going to be it for their battle, because now Zach is going to have some rear end damage to that car. I think may have just about got away with it because they are carrying on, but it does mean that Tyler Hammer has moved up a position in the field as well. So Zach Silver will try and chase on, but again, it has that penalty to serve. Elvin Blomqvist down the inside of Tom Watson. Watson gives up the move to Blomqvist, who's down the inside. That comes after the mistake earlier from Blomqvist that dropped them down the order. And, well, eventually he's got back past Tom Watson and is going to now have to set their sights on, well, Druni, who's still on wet tyres at this stage in the race. We'll have to see how that works out for them. And Yaroshenko, who's in 8th position, and I think that's the car that Elvin will be aiming for in this race because, well, in the wet weather conditions, was right up behind Yaroshenko, if you remember, but got too greedy at turn 16 and spun that AF Course Ferrari completely around. So, yeah, they'll be pushing on to get right back up to the rear end to Yaroshenko. As it stands, though, Silver... I think Johansson is running, if I'm very much not mistaken, in the AMS class. So as it stands, I believe, yes, Daniel Johansson is running in the AMS. So as it stands, Manders leads the way in the AMS class, followed by Johansson, now 3rd position the way of Zach Silver. But Silver will have to pit again, so will Johansson. So that will probably put Yaroshenko into the podium positions for the AM class as well. And we'll have to see. So probably put Yaroshenko up to 2nd in that class. And could potentially put, I think, I'm trying to work out, Tom Watson up into 3rd position in that class as well, depending on how the pit stops go. Silver is into the pit lane now to serve that penalty. So we'll find out that very, very soon.
Yeah, here they are transiting through pit lane. We'll see if they have to also stop in their pit box. Hopefully not. Looks like they are just carrying on for now, but very costly as they come in from 7th place, already down to 9th now, 10th place as they get to pit exit. That seems where their troubles are going to lie. Struggling, really struggling for traction as they come out of the pits. Sorry, down to P11 with Renard Bertolfsson, the next car behind, as they have a fry coming up to try and lap them. That is our leader, Alfie Bevan, with the single LED light illuminated on side of the car. Carrying on with their lead of now 46 seconds after that pit sequence. Of course, important that the drivers, fill up with the right amount of energy. There's going to be some uncertainty to just exactly how many laps will remain in the race. Who's been brave and put in, just not put in as much energy to try and save time in the pit stop? Who's been safe and put in extra energy, costing themselves a bit of pit time? There are some people here who have filled up to a full tank of energy. Some, like Alfie, who has only gone to 70%. So
a lot of strategic fueling at play here. So we'll have to see how that works on it later on into the race. Tom Watson currently now into the 3rd position in the AMS class. and that means that Zach Silver has now dropped to 4th. So there's a 4-second gap between Watson and Silver. So for Zach to get his 50th podium on Sim Racing GP, he's going to have to try and catch up to Tom Watson. So that's something. So we'll have to see if he can get any closer. Daniel Johansson finally into the pit lane in this late part of the race for their, their first pit stop. So that's going to drop them through the field. Actually, they'll put. I think actually now as that stands, that will put. Oh no! So that Yaroshenko's. Mander's first in the AMS, Yaroshenko's second, and now that puts Tom Watson, I beg my own pardon, into 3rd in the AMS class, and Zach Silver into 4th in the AMS standings. So now that makes that Watson and Silver battle, if Silver's able to catch up, a fight for a podium position in the amateur rankings. So Johansson still in their pits box, 45 seconds, 46, 47 now. Stopped as we come to Martin Thorpe running in 15th behind Petr Jelinek. These two have been together for quite a while now in this race. So thank you for the follow, talented depression there. And we come to this battle between Petr Jelinek now for 13th and 14th position, and Petr Jelinek runs a little bit wide there around the final corner, and Martin Thorpe is going to run right up towards the tyre wall and is just going to keep out of it. But this battle still just less than a second, I mean, between the pair of them.
Less than a second, but what was the time difference between them last lap? Half a second in favour of Thorpe trying to catch Petr Jelinek. Still got a bit of way to go. Someone who doesn't have much to go to their next overtake is Elvin Blomqvist, trying to put down the power, and will have such superior traction to the Peugeot, who's still out on those wet tyres and is really starting to struggle on them. They have made their pit stop, though Kevin will certainly need to come through pit lane. They only have 30% of energy, which will only take them another 8 laps with 33.5 minutes to go. I believe we will be getting many more than 8 laps left. For reference, the energy that Alfie has will take them 17 laps into through this race, as Kevin now into the pits, fill up, top up on energy, and take a new set of tyres.
Oh gosh, a big and a massive lock up at the rear there from Martin Thorpe. He was a little bit sideways coming into the entry of turn 13 there. Somehow was able to not lock up the rears too much and get the car facing towards where he wanted it to go. But you can just see these two really still pushing. 1.4 is the gap between Jelinek and Martin Thorpe at the moment. The gap's kind of opened up after that pit stop. Williams was close to Drooney there, who's now going to have to come in for their second stop of the race. Maybe trying to do something here, Drooney. Maybe trying to catch the people out who are going to have to come in for a second stop by switching to the dries now. But very off-brand strategy. We'll have to see how that does work out. It doesn't seem to have worked out too well. They've come out the pits. They were, I think, at the time of their early pit stop running in, just in about 10th position. Now down to 14th. So it hasn't worked out too badly. Still ahead of Johansson, Morgan, Knowles, Harris. So still running in 14th position and about 14 seconds back from the car we're currently following in this race at the moment, which is Martin Thorpe in the 920 car. Ignore the 50 on it at the moment, obviously running in the Ferrari factory team livery at the moment in this race.
Yeah, lost a bit of time last lap, struggling a bit, and thus the gap has opened up. As our closest battle on track is the field has spread out quite a bit, it must be said, since the pit stops. Another battle that's sort of starting to bridge, of course, Zach Silver after that drive-through penalty from the pit sequence. 2.5 seconds back from Tom Watson. Last lap he gained 1.3 seconds, so give it another lap or two and he should be on the tail end of the Toyota driver. See the Cadillac into Sunset over the bumps, getting a little bit wide, which you'll have to be careful of on the slick tires now. As the track still drying out, you can see still damp in places. comes across the line. Let's see, what was that last lap? Was a tenth slower for Zach Silver, actually. So, and Zaya a little bit wide, nearly onto the grass, which Zach just about avoids there. But yeah, not closing in as much. Tom Watson picking up the pace a little bit. But we'll have to keep an eye and see how this battle develops. Meanwhile, that other battle, Martin Thorpe closing in on Yelnik this lap. We'll see the differences when they come across line. Nearly into the wall there for the Porsche driver just in front.
Yeah, just kept it out the wall, Depay Yelnik, but again, Martin Thorpe about 8 tenths quicker over that last lap, so the gap coming down quite considerably between the pair of the drivers. As Thorpe still just trying to get a little bit closer. Maybe Oliver Knowles can help this battle as well. I think that's the Knowles just ahead of these two, so could potentially hold up Petter, bring him up towards Martin Thorpe, or vice versa as they come towards the hairpin. Now we're right on board, up into 6th gear now, and just into 7th before slamming onto the brakes, down into 1st, and actually runs very wide, does Martin Thorpe, so that's going to lose them a little bit of time coming through the hairpin. That's opened up the gap to 1.2, may even cross to 1.3. It does, as they now come up towards the braking zone for turn 10, and it seems like Petyanek is being held up, but the issue is Martin Thorpe just not taking advantage of it. Runs very deep again into turn 10 by the looks of things. So now as they up through turn 12, we'll jump onto the brakes again, and it gets a little bit of tail happy as well, coming onto the brakes by turn 13 again, and the gap really is extending out. 1.8 seconds now separates Petyanek and Martin Thorpe. Again, Jelinek being held up at the moment by the lapped car ahead. So really, this is where Thorpe needs to be pushing, but the mistakes are slowly creeping in to their driving, as it looks like Oliver Knowles has eventually given way to Petty Jelinek, but the gap really hasn't done anything for Martin Thorpe. 1.5 seconds the gap has opened up to. He was probably expecting it to go the other way, but just, as I mentioned, a few mistakes just leaking in as they now will come through the final corner to finish the lap. But Petyanek very wide, but Petyanek into the wall. It seems like he's locked up coming through Sunset, and that big mistake in a lap that looked like everything was going their way, it's actually going to end up with a 1.2 second gap between Martin Thorpe and Petty Jelinek. I think he's just locked up on the wet stuff, so I think.
Let's see, a replay here was already past Ollie Knowles, as you can see just through the Le Mans section. Now coming down the straight, free air in front of them. They get to pick their own braking point, nothing obstructing them. Swinging the car in, braking, just not able to slow the car down, and does eventually collect the wall heavy on the front left corner. All wheels still intact, but I imagine we'll have a bit of suspension damage. Will make it difficult for the rest of the race. Let's see if we can jump on board to get an idea of just how bad the suspension damage is. See if that steering wheel is still tracking straight. Doesn't look too bad here, but struggling to tell. Another lockup looking up front right as they head into turn 10.
Yeah, another yellow flag out on circuit as well, and it's for Charlie Morgan, I think. Yeah, it's spun to the inside of the circuit. Another spin for poor Charlie for that final corner, and it's going to be lapped by a few cars, and actually I think the Glick is going to try and unlap itself for Morgan as well. We'll go back and see what's happened to Charlie Morgan on this replay as it's about to load in for us. There we go, coming into Sunset. Now comes Charlie Morgan, the second Porsche on the same lap to struggle through this corner, and it runs a little bit wide, and then gets really caught out by the bumps, spins across the grass, collects the concrete wall just where it ends and joins the metal barrier, and is ended up just on the normal pit entry there. Obviously not the pit entry for us or the World Endurance Championship, but has meant that Charlie Morgan has, luckily turned it around, didn't catch any cars that run that final corner, because it can be a bit blind sometimes, and has continued on as Zach Silver now within a second of Tom Watson. So this battle is about to get interesting. Zach Silver for their 50th podium on Sim Racing GP will surely want that, and actually, but has made a few mistakes through that part of the circuit once I've got ready for the battle, because now it's 1.2 seconds back from Tom Watson.
Yeah, but 1.4 seconds quicker last lap. Zach is certainly pushing, as you can see, running a little bit wide out of turn 13. Will compromise their run and opens the gap up to over a second once more. Zach trying to find the balance between pushing to catch up, but not pushing too hard that you make mistakes. There is still plenty of time in this race, 25.5 minutes to go, but Zach Silver certainly closing up, trying to undo the damage that was caused by that drive-through penalty from the pit sequence within half a second now as they break for sunset. A little more cautious on the entry than Tom Watson perhaps on the entry. Better run on the exit, but trying too hard on the exit. Gets into the tyre on the exit. That's surely given Zach Silver a bit of bodywork damage at least.
Yeah, I think you can see a little bit of creasing on the front end of the Cadillac. Doesn't seem to have affected them too much, though. It's still closing up to the rear of Tom Watson. What will Tom Watson do in response? We've seen Zach Silver defend in this race. Now it's his time to attack. So here comes Zach Silver. It's up against the oNiD Toyota again. So similar scene, but different Toyotas. As one red one purple one, and now Zach Silver is going to go the inside of the red one. No, they're not. He's decided against it, and has gone back to the racing line. 3/10 is the gap between the pair of them as they make their way out the hairpin part of the circuit through 8. Now up towards turn 9, not really corners at all, really just flat out sections part of the circuit. Now they'll get onto the brakes properly for turn 10, and Zach Silver trying to not get into the rear of the Toyota as they make their way through turn 10, through 11, through 12 now. Silver getting a little bit tail happy, the car drifting out through turn 11 as they come through Tower Corner now, bangs over that curb, does a little bunny hop over it. The Toyota goes off of the circuit and kicks up some of that grass. The yellow flag out as well, a pretty lengthy one, as through turn 14 now, through turn 16, actually I beg my own pardon, now through 15, into the one part of the circuit, now into turn 16 comes Zach Silver. They'll apply the power now, and this is where the Cadillac V-Series R is going to have the power as they come down the back straight. We've got the Toyota with its V6 twin turbo engine, the 3.5 litre in that car, up against the V8 of the Cadillac as they come now into the turn 1. There's a tyres line taken by Zach Silver. The Toyota goes wide. I think they're going to be side by side coming onto the straight. No, the Toyota has been able to hold the momentum, but into the slipstream comes Zach Silver. He's going to look up the inside. Doesn't go for it this time as they go through turn 1. We have 23 laps to go, 23 minutes to go in this race, I beg my own pardon. Now as they come up towards turn 3, it's not a look up the inside. Zach Silver being very patient at the moment. This is for a podium, and I remind you, in the amateur class. It may only be for 7th place overall in this race, but it does mean something in the amateur standings as they come through turn 6 now, up towards the hairpin. Is Silver going to be close enough to think about the move? He does look to the inside, goes against it, locks up the front left ever so slightly, still gets the car turned into the corner. Great racing by the pair of them here as Silver is right onto the rear. He's going to look to the outside through turn 9. He's going to turn to the inside into turn 10. Is the Cadillac V-Series R strong enough on the brakes? He turns the car in. He leans on the Toyota. He's through. Through goes Zach Silver. That is 3rd position in the AMS class. A classy move, a little nudge, and he was past at turn 10. As Tom Watson gave it a good go, but just didn't have the pace of what Silver's had today. And Silver, after a frustrating loss of that 5th position, now moves back up into 3rd position in class. And I think that's going to be all she wrote for Silver, because 28 seconds now to find in 21 minutes, well actually just under 22 minutes, is going to be a tall ask. But at least it's going to end the day with a 50th podium on Sim Racing GP and a 3rd position in the AMS class.
While we were watching that battle, someone who took a little trip through pit lane, Elvin Blomqvist, was running quite high up. That trip through pit lane was not a short one. You can see 1 minute and 49 seconds through pit lane. They were stopped in their pit box for 1 minute and 9 seconds of that time. That is longer than any of the field who took their normal pit stops. So likely that would have to be damage repair for the pit stop to be as long as it was. I can't remember if we did see where Elvin picked up the damage, but set them all the way down to 15th position, having qualified in 5th place for this race. And yeah, there going to be another driver trying to make a comeback, but 10 seconds up to Johansson in front, and a further 28 seconds after that. It'll be difficult for Elvin to make up too many positions with only just under 21 minutes left in the race.
And also in chat, Sim Harris has had to retire, has had some serious back pain come on, and well, and it's no worries at all. I think I know, yeah, it's Simon. Yeah, no worries at all. Obviously, physical health comes first, and obviously, if your back's hurting, you've just got to you have to retire and prioritize yourself. So don't worry about it at all. As Elvin Blomqvist, we're currently following, is 10 seconds back from Daniel Johansson in the field, but as we mentioned before, has had that damage to deal with as we come down towards the hairpin now with Zach Finney, still 14 seconds ahead of Alex Shahabi, and well, I think he's still quite a way behind Alfie as the session goes. But it's, apart from that one spin we saw at Tower Corner earlier on, it's been a pretty quiet session. Actually, no, it's down here, turn 10, I think, actually, for Zach Finney. It's been quite a quiet race for them, very consistent apart from the spin, and has been able to stay where they qualified for this race. And well, I think that's an achievement considering they were on lap 1, they were 3 wide for second position going into turn 2. So Zach Finney done a great job to hold on, with Alex Shahabi also doing a great job to hold on to the podium position in third, as well as we have a yellow flag out on circuit. It's cleared itself up though.
Yeah, fastest lap of the race, of course. Time's getting quicker as the track dries up. Track not totally dry just yet. There are some damp patches, which is keeping the average wetness up a little bit. But mostly dry as far as our drivers are concerned. It will pretty much be dry at this stage. Fastest lap by Alex Shahabi, 150.0 is the fastest lap. And actually, they have just improved that as they crossed the line there. 149.6 now. The drivers getting quicker and quicker with every lap they go. Looking at the virtual energy, the only driver who's would be any sort of concerned about not having enough would be Alfie Bevan, though you'd have to say with leading the race by 41 seconds at the moment. If the race was to be a little too long, they can just slow up to make sure it doesn't, that they can shorten it by a lap as we see them coming up to sunset and coming across the yellow flag for Jacob Hine, who's had an issue through sunset. Been a very difficult day for Jacob Hine. Seen quite a few mistakes from them throughout the race, and we've missed some of the yellow flags that they've been the cause of. But yeah, very difficult time for the Alpine driving, and it reflects on the front bodywork of the Alpine.
Yeah, well, yeah, poor time for Jay Hine as well. Sole Alpine in the field as well, does a good job to represent the car, but yeah, just not, obviously Spring not clicking with them today. It's side by side with the Ferraris now though, so obviously the damage not hindering them too much, but yeah, it's just really not been a day to look back on. Oh, and it's a spin for one of the AF course Ferraris off the road to the inside of the hairpin there. It's it's poor Elvin Blomqvist who's on the recovery drive, and that's chucked them off the road at the hairpin, as I previously mentioned. As well, yeah, that's another driver that's probably not a day to report back on. It's not really, apart from a strong qualifying session and a strong early part to this race, that damage that they came in for has yeah, kind of wreaks havoc to the rest of their race, as the track's completely dry now as well, I might mention. Not even 5% wet now, just completely dry. 22.7 is the track temperature, with 20 degrees air temperature as well. As we come to Tom Watson, who's in 8th position. Oh no, not Tom Watson. We come to Runa Tolson, who's in 9th position and is a second back from Tom Watson. And also there's another Porsche up behind them, but that's not on the same lap as them. So the gap, the fight is between these two, and it is actually going to be for 4th position in the amateur standings and for 8th overall in this race. So as they come down the back straight towards Sunset Corner again, up to 7th gear goes Runa. We'll have to see if the Porsche is able to take a better line through, and it does seem so. It takes a lot tighter line there, then drags it wide on the apex of the corner, but you can see Porsche threw it in with a lot more speed and has closed up nearly 3 tenths through that corner as they come down the start finish straight up towards turn 1. And yeah, Runa really seems to be running with some strong pace towards the end of this session, liking these dry conditions. Oh, an AF course car off at the side of the road there as well as in through turn 1. So that is another AF course car that's had an off as we come up towards the big turn here. I've forgotten the name of it, the huge turn, whatever turn it's called.
Big Bend.
Through Big Bend, there we go, Big Bend, not Big Ben, Big Bend, as we now come towards the hairpin now, at least I know the name of that corner, and now we're on to towards turns 8 and 9 as this gap battle still coming down quite a bit actually. Now 3 tenths is all that separates them, so in a minute this is going to get quite tasty. It's going to get quite good. If just keep your eyes on the screen and keep watching, and I'm sure soon Runa Bertolson and Tom Watson will start taking chunks out of one another. The gap slowly goes up by a tenth there, but Runa closes it up onto brakes again, gets onto the power well, coming on towards turn 14. This kind of, well, the camping part of the circuit, I'll call it, with all the motorhomes famously on the inside of the corner, as Runa Bertolson back to within 3 tenths, actually no, just over 3 tenths to be accurate. And now as they come through the final corner, Zach Silver not too far ahead of this battle either as well, so technically a 3-way fight maybe now on for the final podium position in the AMS class, and Tom Watson is going to be under some pressure here from Runa Bertolson. Runa's going to go for that wide line. Watson goes for the inside. Watson's going to drag it wide out of this corner though, and it may be up and over for Runa Bertolson, but no, the wide line has not worked. He hasn't come back in, and actually the gap's extended to just over half a second as they come across the start finish line under the famous Mobile 1 bridge. As they come now to turn 1, as will there be an attempt into turn 3? I think Runa's a little bit too far back. It would have had to been a send and a half if they were going to go for it through here. Runa's is right on the rear end though of Tom Watson. Watson takes a wide entry into this part of the circuit, and that puts, well, just over 2 tenths is the gap. This could present an opportunity for Runa Bertolson as they come up towards the hairpin now. Runa's going to have to go to the outside. Watson defends to the inside. It's the Porsche that's got ahead, but he locks it up, tries to send it around the outside, and it's muscly arms out for Tom Watson. Pushes the Porsche into the dusty part of the circuit. We have one of the Jota Porsches trying to unlap themselves, or lap if it's Nick Manders or Charlie Morgan. I assume it's Nick Manders coming on the back of these guys as we come through turns 12, now into 12, now into 13, which is Tower. Takes a wide line through there, does Runa Bertolson, but now gets lapped by Nick Manders. I'm going to assume it's Nick Manders who's just come through and is right ahead of these. It's put themselves right between these two, and now the gap actually opens up to about a second between Tom Watson and Runa Bertolson. So that's put a little bit of cool water on these guys for a bit.
Yeah, that's actually Charlie Morgan who's unlapping themselves on Runa Bertolson, who's got a little bit frustrated with that they were closing up, and Zach Silver, I think, made a mistake a couple of laps ago, which allowed these to close in, and was maybe looking like Bertolson could get 2 places before the race finishes in 12 minutes, but with Charlie Morgan getting in the way now, it's looking less likely. 12 minutes, still plenty of time to make the move on Tom Watson for Bertolson, but is giving the opportunity for Zach Silver to open the gap out once again, who's opened the gap by 1.5 seconds again in the last lap, so it's starting to pull away again, but Bertolson just annoyingly with Charlie Morgan in between the two of them, and Charlie now realising they don't have enough pace to break away from their fellow Porsche driver, decides to let them back through under blue flags, and now Bertolson with one less Porsche in front of them can go chasing after the Toyota.
So yeah, Runa Bertolson now has his main sights back on his main target again. Now the gap 7 tenths between them, so a little bit higher than it has been at previous points in this race, and the pressure a little bit on now. 11 minutes to go in this race. And it's, well, time's running out to get that overtake done. Speaking of which, Martin Thorpe still stuck behind. No, still ahead now, actually, of Per Jelinek. So that's an overtake that's happened off screen between the pair of them. Martin Thorpe sliding ahead of Per Jelinek. Finally, that battle's been going on for quite a while now in this race, and it means that Martin Thorpe now moves into 11th position. These two making their way back up through the order and just outside of the top 10 now, but it looks like that'll be as far as they go, with Williams currently 17 seconds ahead of Martin Thorpe. But Pete Yannick's not giving this one up yet, still 4 attempts back from Martin Thorpe. So the battle is still well and truly on. Speaking of which, Rune Bertolsen's got right back to Tom Watson as they come through the final turn. And it seems like Rune's got a better run through here. Tight to line as they come onto the back straight here. Which way will he go? It looks like he went to the right-hand side of the circuit. Now he's probably going to try and go to the left. No, he's still going for that wider outside line on Tom Watson. Tries to set himself up for the title exit, but no, actually goes to the outside now as they come towards turn 3. So side by side between the pair of them. Onto the brakes now comes Tom Watson. Watson is going to try and make it work around the outside. Literally gives Rune a little bit of room there, and forces him to turn in late to the corner, and somehow Tom Watson holds on to an 8th position there, with Rune Bertolsen just holding on to 9th as actually not one on about, no, stays in 9th position, does Rune Bertolsen. And that's, Rune is not going to be able to get through until now, as Tom Watson runs wide through the hairpin. Rune's going to have the inside, and Rune goes through. Easily done in the end. Just Tom Watson goes wide. Obviously, that stalled all of their pace coming into the turns 8 and 9 part of the circuit, and it was an easy move up the inside there by Rune Bertolsen to now put themselves into 4th in the AMS class and 8th overall.
Yeah, eventually getting the move done was squeezed quite a bit in the first sector of the lap, but luckily found the opportunity just into the second sector at the hairpin, and can now see Zach Silver in front of them. 2.7 seconds, but only 9 minutes remain in the race for them to try and chase down the yellow Cadillac if they are able to. They were actually 1.4 seconds quicker than Zach Silver on the previous lap. So Zach struggling with a little bit of consistency perhaps, which might give Runart the opportunity, if they can keep it clean and show good pace between now and the end of the race. We had a brief look at Jelinek, who was closing up to Martin Thorpe, was ahead previously earlier on in the race, now finds themselves behind. They were, at the point we switched to them, 6/10 quicker on the previous lap. Last lap though, they've fallen back a further 3/10, and it seems like on this lap that we join them on, they're losing more time. The gap up to 1.6 seconds now between the Ferrari and Porsche driver. We'll see what the lap times reflect as they come out of sunset to complete another lap. Just 8 minutes left in the race, and Jelinek a 10th quicker than Martin Thorpe last lap around, so still has maybe a little bit of pace, but we'll have to get a move on. Is certainly pushing as they run a little bit wide out of T1, using some of the grass there on the exit, trying to keep up. Another battle that not quite that close between two of these drivers at the moment, but it is closing. Yaroshenko trying to close up to Tyler Hammer, who's been in good position for a top 5 finish early on in the race, but made a couple of mistakes while fighting for position. Lost plenty of those positions, but now finds themselves back up to the top 5 though, being chased down 1.2 seconds quicker for Yaroshenko last lap, and but Tyler Hammer responding to that pace, and is trying to hold that gap. But yeah, just something to keep an eye on. But I've just noticed, looking at the timing screen, gap between Runart Bertolsen and Zach Silver has come down to under a second. So has the gap between Jelinek and Thorpe. We could have 3 close battles as we come to the checkered flag very soon.
And interestingly, this puts Zach Silver's 50th podium on the platform at stake as well, and podium in the AMS class. Zach Silver currently runs in 3rd position in the AMS class, 7th overall in this race, and Rune Bertolsen 4th in the AMS class and is in 8th overall in this race. So this gives a lot for the pair of them to play for. Rune Bertolsen really coming alive in these dry conditions is really showing some pace at this latter stage of the race, and he's being rewarded for it. 1.1 seconds quicker on the lap last time around. So yeah, it's really going to give him it's going to keep Zach very busy. And interestingly as well, this will be the 20th podium on Sim Racing GP on his 101st start for Rune Bertolsen. So it's both of them have something to play for here in terms of stats. I'm not sure if any of them really care about the Sim Racing GP stats, but I do, and they will be both fighting for a pretty significant number as they come into the closing stages of this race. 25. What am I saying? 5 minutes and 20 seconds now to go in this race, so running out of time between the pair of them, but this really should give us a grandstand finish as Zach Silver's off the circuit. This could be an opportunity for Rune Bertolsen as they now come onto the back straight now. As they come down the Almond Straight, the pit's on the right hand side there. It's a little bit too far back, I think, for Rune this time around. The gap slightly coming down as they come towards the braking zone. We know Rune really likes to brake late down here, so does Zach. Both of them taking similar lines. It's a little bit wider for Rune, who's able to get the car turned in for a tighter exit from the corner, and that's given him a beautiful run coming on to the start-finish straight. Will there be a look? I don't think there is. It's just a little bit too far back this time around as they will go through. As they come through the corner now, it's a tyre light. It goes wide, goes Zach Silver onto the grass ever so slightly. That's going to give Rune a little bit of advantage now through turn 3 as they go up towards 5 now. As trying to cut in deeper is Rune Bertolsen, kicks up a little bit of grass as they come through. Big bend corner now under the tunnel through the long right-hander. The gap opens up a little bit, and I think Rune's a little bit too far back. Rune is a little bit too far back to get the move done this time.
I have just noticed the time at the front of the field. 5 seconds now. But we also have this battle. Mentioned Yaroshenko closing up to Tyler Hammer is now in strong slipstream distance towards Sunset. No defense to the inside from Tyler Hammer. The Toyota driver seemingly just letting the Ferrari go. Doesn't think they have the pace to contest that, even with only 3.5 minutes to go. Ferrari up to 5th place now. Tyler Hammer will settle for P6 and will carry on. Of course, Yaroshenko will have to be careful not to make any mistakes at the end of this race, but they should be able to come home in P5. We go back to this battle. Rune Bertolsen in the slipstream down the back straight as we have a moment for one of the Porsches in the background. That's Charlie Morgan having a spin out of turn 16. They are up in 15th place at the moment, having had a bit of a difficult day with a few mistakes. Far from the only driver making mistakes. We've seen Elvin Blomqvist having some mistakes. They've fallen down to 18th place as they had to make a 4-minute pit stop to repair damage from one of their mistakes. But we can see this battle now, just 4 tenths, mere car lengths between the Porsche and Chevy as they carry on. Ferrari getting involved in this battle as well. That is, I think, one of our 2 leaders. It's not Zach Finney, it is our race leader Alfie Bevan, who is trying to make their way through, disrupting this pack, frustrating for them. But whatever slowed down Alfie to bring the gap down to about 5.5 seconds, they still have their pace. Fastest lap of the race last time round, 146.6. Maybe they did have to slow down just to make sure this race doesn't go too short. Their virtual energy, they are down to 10% at the start of this lap. Theoretically, they only have enough energy for 3 laps, and it looks like, yeah, that will be very close to the end. So they maybe just needed to make sure they didn't run the race too long and saved a little bit of energy. But they get past now Zach Silver. That means Bertolsen has a clear view of their next target. A little further back, Charlie Morgan, after their mistake, has fallen down to 16th place behind Ollie Knowles, who takes 15th in their stead. but we'll continue on watching this fight. Again, wide line on the entry to Sunset for Butolson, trying to get the better exit. Hasn't quite worked out this time. 4 attempts between the two as they come across to start what will be the final lap of the race.
So only one more chance for Rune Thompson to try and get through. The gap is closing down. Will there be to the inside into turn 3? No, there's not. Will there be anything presented into turn 5? No, there isn't. And a tight line taken by the Porsche. I think that's going to compromise them coming up towards Big Bend. Actually, no, it doesn't. Bear traction out of turn 5, and the gap is closing down, but it's not going to close down enough to present an opportunity to Rune Bertolfsson at this point in the race. He's going to run out of opportunities, I think, because he's right onto the rear of Zach Silver, but it still isn't anywhere near close enough to get the move done. And now the gap up to 6 attempts. It's really looking dire now for Rune Bertolfsson, and if Zach Silver can just about hold on, it could be a podium heading their way. But still a few overtaking opportunities to go, especially the final corner still. So Rune can try and set up for that. Tries to get close for turn 13 through Tower, but no, still nowhere near close enough, as they are just under 4 attempts back from Zach Silver. They're going to have to pray for mistakes. Tyler Hammer into the pit lane. That's big for Tyler. I think that's really going to put the nail in the coffin of their race. Of maybe under-fueled, I'd have to assume so. Oh dear, it's under-fueling for Tyler Hammer, and well, that's put them out of this one, and it moves a few drivers up this field. It makes this an overall battle for 6th place, but in the end, it looks like it's not going to be close enough for Rune Bertolfsson. They'll come into the final turn now. Rune's going to try and go around the outside. Is he going to make it work? No, Rune's going to run wide. He's going to try and get the switchback, maybe on the power, but in the end, Alfie Bevins, second win of the season, goes the way of Alfie Bevins, puts him joint on wins with Jonathan Seville. The championship well and truly on for the pair of those two drivers. Silver just holds on for their 50th podium on Sim Racing GP, and 3rd place in the AMS class from Rune Bertolfsson. A great charge in the end from them. It looks like Martin Forbes going to hold on to 11th in this race from Petr Jelinek. Around the final corner they come towards the start-finish line. Forbes comes across the line, and so does Petr, as that finishes that for the pair of them. We're still waiting for some cars to come through. It's going to be 13th, a respectable 13th for Kevin Druni in the end in that wingless Peugeot, just behind, not too far back as well from the Petr Jelinek and battle. As there you go, across the line comes the Peugeot. As I think that rounds out the cars that are still racing in this field. Oh no, it doesn't. I take it back. Daniel Johansson still coming around in the Rothmans Porsche. It's good, looking to finish in 14th position in the end. Is it also having some issues with delivery with the numbers? We saw that last week with Ollie Knowles' car. As you can see, it looks like it's missing 2 teeth, but actually that's where the number should be. But anyway, as through turn 13, through the Le Mans part of the circuit, you can see the big American-style campers on the outside of the circuit will make their way now down the Ullman Straight, as there goes, now past he goes, and now into the braking zone nearly, actually no, I've gone a bit too early with that, now into the braking zone for Sunset Corner. We'll turn the car in one final time to round us out here at round 4 of the oNiD Sim HoundLMU 100 series, part 2, powered by Coach Dave Academy. There we go, Daniel Johansson finishes us off racing here. And now that is the end of round 4 of the season.
Yeah, exciting race, battles throughout. A lot of people struggling with the weather. Unfortunately, we did have a few DNFs, but let's go through the final results then for the race. Starting with, of course, Alfie Bevan with that dominant performance.
Yeah, Alfie Bevins wins with a dominant performance from the rest of the field. Zach Finney gave it his best go, closing into about 5 seconds at the end of the race, but wasn't close enough. Alex Chabi, a consistent 3rd place in the end, with Nick Manders, the first of the other cars in the Porsche, and first in the amateur standings. Dmitry Yaroshenko finishes 5th, 6th, and 2nd in AMS goes away of Zach Silver. Actually, no, 3rd in AMS goes away of Zach Silver. 7th goes the way of Runa Bertolson, 8th Tyler Hammer, 9th goes the way of Tom Watson, and 10th goes the way of Daniel Williams. A good comeback drive from themselves to finish inside the top 10. Now, as we move to 11th, it was Martin Thorpe taking that away from Petr Yenik, who finished in 12th. An impressive 13th from Kevin Durini, and 14th from Daniel Johansson. 15th goes the way of Ollie Knowles. 16th goes the way of Charlie Morgan, who was in the wars, along with 17th place Jacob Hine and 18th place Elvin Blomqvist, who came in for repairs. And they did take a while. 19th ended up finishing was Artom Kasanov in the Sol Glickenhaus in the field. And DNFing was Simon Harris with back pains, with Ben Law also DNFing and Adam Dorner DNFing after a lap 1 crash as well. And that rounds out our 22 car field.
Yeah, I believe Dorner did mention in chat that their PC was struggling to handle the rain in VR and were dropping many frames, hence their DNF. A difficult race, though, for our drivers, some struggling a lot more than others, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that leaves us in the standings when we check back in next round, especially since we'll have 2 rounds of points plus the 2 drop rounds in the standings. But yes, next week we will be back with Fuji Classic, missing out the chicane at the end of the second sector. High-speed right-hander taking its place. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be another fully dry race. How much will we need to see some fuel-saving? What direction will drivers take the tyres? Will we see them changing a couple or not? You'll have to join us for then before our finale at Le Mans in a couple of weeks. Tom, looking forward to next week?
Yes, no, Fuji is an exciting circuit. Actually, it was my first competitive race there on LMU last season as well. So that it was a fun circuit to kind of learn the sim on. So, yeah, no, looking forward to heading to Fuji. Can't lie though, I'm really looking forward to the final round because obviously, well, it's at Le Mans and I love Le Mans, so that will be great as well. So really, lots to look forward to in the remainder of this season. And with round 5s and 6 coming up, only 2 rounds of the championship to go. This will be where we really get a nice view of how the championship is sitting and who is sitting in the best spots for the championship as well. So really, the season is only going to get more and more exciting from now.
Yeah, indeed, especially with Le Mans, as you say. The strategy, the long straights will eat up quite a bit of the virtual energy, may mandate a 2-stop or a lot of fuel saving. It'll be interesting to see how that strategy goes when we get there in a couple of weeks. But between now and next week, we have plenty of great racing coming up over the next 4 days. Starting with tomorrow, we have GT3 MPGC series on the Mon Ultimate. Round 5 at Fuji. Of course, the series 2 times fuel consumption for a 65-minute race, making some very interesting strategy over the season so far. We've seen either 2 stops for most of our drivers, but there have been some that have been sneaking a lot of fuel saving to make a 1-stop work. What will we see work at round Fuji? Well, tune in tomorrow to find out. On Tuesday, we will have our British Stock Car Series. Unfortunately, I had to take a little break last week due to server issues. So this week, we will see that 80-minute endurance race around the classic 2005 layout of Silverstone, in the big hefty stock cars sliding their way around the track frame. It should be good fun. A very important round for the championship as it offers the most points compared to any other round in the season. Make sure you join us on Tuesday for that. On Wednesday then we have our SimHound Academy. Lesser experienced, more rookie drivers on LMU will be getting to grips with hypercars and GT3 cars. They will also be at Fuji next week. Come see how they tackle quite a challenging circuit, especially with the twisty Sector 3. I certainly know of the challenges, as much like Tom, it was where I had my first race in the Mon Ultimate, getting to experience the specific quirks of the Mon Ultimate, especially coming from ACC. It can be quite a challenge. See how our less experienced drivers fare on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we have our iRacing GT3 Transatlantic Showdown. North America have been whooping Europe's ass after the first round. Will Europe be able to turn things around as we head to the Nürburgring this week, or will North America take another commanding result? Make sure you tune in on Thursday to see how that pans out in Nürburgring before me and Tom return next Sunday for the 100 Series number 2 at Fuji. Before we go, Tom, any final words to wrap up today?
What great racing that we experienced today, and great mixed weather conditions really gave us a lot to offer. And yeah, no, just looking excited for the next rounds. And also, I love that European American style AC series. I just want to add that is what ASCAR / Days of Thunder at Rockingham should have been. And I think it's such a cool concept. So I just wanted to add that.
Not biased at all. Yeah, so that will be it from me and Tom tonight. Thank you all very much for joining. Thank you once again to Apex Fest or Ralph Fest and Bloodwolf for your subscriptions and your support. Those are some long 80 months from Apex Fest and 23 months. Long-term supporters. Well, that's 4 years from Ralph Fest and nearly 2 years from Bloodwolf. Thank you very much for your long-term continued support, and thank you to Talented Depression for the follow as well. It's great to have all your support. We really hope you enjoyed tonight's race and that you will join us once again over the next week. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Enjoy the start of next week. And for me and Tom, we'll see you next time. Till then, take care. Good night.
Bye.